Good evening, lovely tubers. White Mexican back again for a deck profile, deck update. This is going to be for my Kashtira build. Went to a local OTS here in Rochester, New York yesterday. It was about 100 players. I was able to get 16th place overall out of the event, and it was 7 rounds. I did change the deck profile, so the deck profile physically that I'm displaying here is going to be my updated variant. That's radically different from what I played for the regional OTS yesterday. But if you guys are curious, again, really quick, I'll just go over the deck list because it's kind of hard to see this, but this was my deck list here. So for the regional OTS yesterday, the main deck lineup for monsters was 3 Ash, 3-dimensional dimensional shifter, 3 Droll Knockbird, 3 Kashtira Fenrir, 1 Ogre, 3 Kashtira Riceheart, 3 Unicorn, and 1 Scareclaw. For the main deck magic cards, 1 Called By, 3-dimensional Fisher, 3 Birth, 2 Theosis, 2 Pot of Prosperity, 3 Pressure Planet Wearsoth, 1 Terraforming, 1 Talents. Main deck traps, 3 Impermanence, 1 Rivalry of the Warlords. For the side deck, it was 3 Cosmic, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Kashtira Preparations, 3 Lava Golem, 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Macrocosmos, and 3 Solemn Judgment. Extra deck was 1 Baron, 1 Dark Arm, the Dragon of Annihilation, 1 Zeus, 1 Donner, 3 Kashtira Shingira, 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac, 2 number 11 Big Eye, 3 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, 1 Little Knight, and 1 Sky Crisis Typhon. So that was the lineup for yesterday. Pretty good. It was really fun, very long, a lot of work. Obviously 7 rounds is a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, but it was really fun. Went with 2 of my buddies, and there was a lot of buddies locally from the Syracuse area that went, which was pretty awesome to see everyone there. So again, it was about 100 players. My final standing was 16th place. It was 7 rounds. Really quickly, the rounds were as follows. Round 1 was a draw. It was 2 games against a Snake Eye variant. Round 2 was against a Dinosaur player. That was 2 games, and I won that match. Round 3 was against Fire King Snake Eye. That was my first loss of the event, and that was 2 games. Really grindy. For game 1, pretty much took almost the entire time. It was insane. Really cool guy though. The opponent was really awesome. Round 4 was against a branded Despia player. That was 3 games. I won that match. Round 5 was against a Mankanko / Fire Snake Eye / Makanko. Really crazy. A really cool player. Really interesting, creative deck build. That was 3 games, and that was very close. That literally went down to like the last like 1 or 3 minutes or so. And I really had him on the ropes, but barely lost it at the very end. He got a crazy top deck, and that deck is just kind of crazy to play around. Anyway, so that was a loss for round 5. Going into round 6, I played a Voiceless Voice branded Despia variant. That was 2 games, and I won that match. Round 7 was against a branded Despia player who was actually one of my friends here locally in the Syracuse area. So pretty fortunate. Out of 7 rounds, I only had 1 homie matchup, but again, there was about 100 plus players, so it was nice to only have to play 1 friend. That was 3 games, and I did win that round as well. So again, totals out of the 7 rounds was 1 draw, 2 losses, and 4 wins. And again, that was 16th place overall between the 7 rounds. So that was that. Only top 8. There was only top 8, and then I don't remember what prize support was, if even top 8 got anything. I don't even know if they did. And then I think it was like super stingy. I think like only 1 person got the mat. I think it was the Princess mat. So prize support was really jacked that entire event. But entry, of course, you get five booster packs from the core set. because I think it was like 23 builds or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these right after I do my updated deck profile, which is, this is the current updated list as of Sunday, which is, 3 March 2024. And this is something that I feel very confident in moving into March as far as White Mexican Theory and Cash Chair. I've been playing Cash Chair for quite some time now, so really love this deck, and I think it's phenomenal, specifically in this format because of the graveyard manipulation. With all the fire decks running rampant. So getting into the deck profile of the current updated list, I did play a local tournament again today here, Sunday, with this build. Really quickly, I'll go over statistics for that. Well, I'll go through the deck list first, and then we'll get into the statistics of the deck and how it performed today at the locals level tournament. So, main deck traps, high risk, high reward. We are running 1 copy of Rivalry of the Warlords. Again, all of the Kashtira monsters are psychic except for Rise Heart. Rise Heart is warrior, so you can play under this. Even Shangira is a psychic, so you can even go into Shangira, do Planet Shangira plays under Rivalry, so, can destroy your opponent, doesn't really wreck you, really, really great stuff. A lot of people do not expect this game 1. If you win this dice roll, that just makes it, if you win the dice roll, game 1, it's even more premium. Really, really great stuff. I run a very high removal ratio card, so preparations is super good. I'm also running 1 copy of Ogre, so we want a search target off that. Ideally, I like to only use this card if I know I'm going first, but again, with all the manipulation cards that I'm running and with Ogre being in the main, it is nice to get a +1 if I happen to get it. It just does really suck to open this as opposed to the Ogre, because obviously ideally you want to summon this, search this. What really, really sucks is if you open both of them, especially going second. That's like almost like ideally like 2 dead cards. You really don't want that, but that doesn't happen too often. So right now I'm feeling comfortable with this being the only trap lineup. Yes, I'm not playing Imperm. Imperm is really good. Sometimes it's highly missed, but it's kind of just does. I don't have room, in my personal opinion. I think there's other engine pieces and other things that I like that make it okay to just not have right now. It is missed sometimes, but, again, this is just kind of, that's all I'm going to say about that. Sometimes it's missed, but sometimes it works out, and today it worked out pretty well, so, okay, moving on here. Extra deck for monsters is going to be 1 Ogre, and this is pretty spicy. 2 Scareclaw. Scareclaw is super, super good. I was really, it took me a while to get the confidence to run 2 because I thought it would be really bricky, and it can be very bricky. Fortunately for me today, I did not brick on this card, which was really, really great. Again, kind of more high risk, high reward theory on this one. This is primarily for the negation effect. The negation effect is super good. Saturday, I didn't go into very, very strict details with my matchups, but there was probably 2-3 rounds out of those 7 rounds for the OTS regional where this card came in like it was so good, and it won me rounds just for turning off bodies on the board on my turn, on my opponent's turn. Super, super good. Do not sleep on this effect. The second effect of the monster negation, it's super, super crazy. You can activate on your opponent's turn, or it doesn't even activate, which is good too. But use it on your opponent's turn, use it on your turn. It's really, really good. Also, Kashtira Scareclaw is one of the second biggest, so besides Ogre's the biggest as far as attack. This can attack and defense. It's got 26 naturally. Then if you have Planet, it's a pretty big body. And you can also attack with it if you summon it off Theosis, because it summons it in defense, and it's really good attack power. And again, ideally my play style, which is probably a lot of Kashtira players, get a lot of bodies on board, attack directly, hit all this damage, and then main phase 2, risk it against the nib, and drop the Red Eyes Flare, and pretty much lock out your opponent from any plays, which is, always really fun. So 1 and 2. In order to run the second Scareclaw, I am running 2 Rise Heart. Now, for the longest time, I was running 3. I still really do like 3, but I decided to cut Theosis to 2. Like I did with the regional list, Theosis is cut to 2. So because I'm only running 2 Theosis, I decided ratio count is better to only run 2 Rise Heart. Again, one of the primary reasons I was running 3 Rise Heart and 3 Theosis was because they have great synergy. You can proc off and combo them together. 3 Theosis just gives you more chances to brick. And it's not that 3 Theosis is bad. I still, sometimes there is times, both in the OTS and today during the local tournament, where I did miss the third Theosis, but the safety of having just that much of a percentage and opportunity less to brick on 3 Theosis felt really, really good. So 2 Rise Hard, 2 Theosis, it's been working out very well, in my personal opinion. Playset of Fenrir, playset of Unicorn, playset of Droll and Lockbird, and playset of Ash, and of course a playset of Shifter. Now Shifter is pretty much almost a Game 1 exclusively card. I do side Macrocosmos in the side. Now, I have a lot of different theories about ratio counts between these two cards. You know, this pretty much can't be stopped for the most part. There's very few things in the game, in the format, that can stop this card. This only lasts 2 turns. This lasts forever. This is prone to spot removal. This is not, you know, prone to hardly anything. You know, proc it off, you proc it off. You have to open with this. You don't necessarily have to open with this. So there's a lot of, like, pluses and minuses that you have to weigh with both the cards, but we'll get into that shortly. So that is the main deck monsters. I believe that is 20, and then, of course, 2 with the traps. For the Magic cards, 1 Gold Sarko. This was complete dog shit. This was awful. For a while, like, this was super good. I've had some really good luck with this card, like, quite some time back, and I had it cut for the longest time. I did something experimental today, since I was, you know, doing something crazy with the 2 Scarecrow and 2 Theosis. I decided, hey, you know, why don't I change it up again? So I decided to throw it in there. It was just utter dog shit. Every time that I bricked, I think I made out of we had 5 rounds initially, and then after the 5 rounds, we did top 8. So out of the 6 rounds that I played today at the local tournament level, this contributed to, I think I bricked either 3 games. There's 3 or 4 games out of the whole 6 rounds that I bricked, you know, had really, really, you know, colossal bricks. And this was definitely a contributor because they just had cards that just didn't really have synergy with this. Anyway, don't run this card. There's some really cool interactions you can do, but I just personally, like, after today, every time that I drew into this, it was just associated with a colossal brick. And it's not necessarily Gold Sarko's fault. It was just kind of the numbers, and just really put a bad taste in my mouth, this card. So I'm 100% cutting this card. Next is going to be Sacred Swords. This is a hard once per turn, so it's really great just as a one of. It does conflict with Pot of Prosperity, but I cut Pot of Prosperity down to 2, and I'll get into my reasons why I did that when I get to the Prosperity. So 1/1, 1 called by. Again, this is ideally for a Puppet Lock. If you're playing against Branded Despia, you don't get removal. If you don't open Shifter, they try to Puppet Lock you on your standby or draw phase or whatever. You can just proc this from hand. Also, with all the fire decks running around, you know, going second, this can be pretty good to get some spot removal from the grave. And of course, Droll and Lockbird is something that you don't want to get hit. Do a lot of searching with Kashtira, and if you don't have Shifter right off the bat or a Dimensional Fisher, which I like to run, this is going to be kind of your saving grace right there. 4th planet. Search for the Field Magic, of course. 1 talents. I really don't like this card because it's really good, but I really don't like it, which sounds kind of like an oxymoron. But the thing is like, I don't like cards that are, like, dependent on your opponent. This card's super good, you know, when your opponent gives you the opportunity to go off with it, but it's very dependent on your opponent activating a hand trap or doing something on your turn, and I really don't like that. I like to have more independent cards to kind of work with. I don't want to depend on my opponent to, like, if my opponent does X, then I get to do, you know, X. I really don't like those type of cards, but I understand it's very variable. You know, 3 different effects. You know, the Snatch and Steal or Change Your Heart or whatever does not target, so, you know, can take a lot of, you know, cards that can't be targeted, which is really good. A lot of versatility to this. Ideally, I just ran it because of Nibiru. If they happen to do proc off a hand trap or an effect on my turn, I can peek at their hand and either throw back a critical resource, or I can bounce back, shuffle back the nib, and then I have you know, full access to special, you know, 5+ monsters, and, you know, it's just a ham of a time. That's ideally the kind of theory behind that. Other than that, I was just looking for a substitute for draw power. I was running Card Destruction, which I still like a lot, and it may come back when I decide to change the build. But for right now, I'm not running card destruction, and I wanted a variability in my draw power. So this potentially with swords, and then of course the 2 prosperity. We have 2 theosis. Again, today there were some times, about 50% of the time, I really did miss the 3rd one for those longer games, but for those shorter games, it was fine at 2. Again, Rise Heart was cut to 2, so in retrospective, I also cut Theosis to 2 to reduce the brick rate. 2 Prosperity. The reason why I hit Prosperity to 2 was because it is once per turn, but beyond that, also, you only have 15 cards in your extra deck. And ideally, if you're ripping this card, you're going to go for 6 because you want to go for those deep dives, and that's already 12. So technically, you could play 3. One would just have to be a 3 instead of 6 cost cards, or from the extra deck, or whatever you want to have it. So I think 2 is fine. Also, obviously, this conflicts with the Pot of Greed from 7 stars and the talents, potentially, if I wanted to do the Pot of Greed. But that's why it's at 2. All these are hard once per turn. 1 is just weird. I've tried doing 1 before. It's just not enough. It's super weird. It's not worth it, too. If you're running other potential draw power cards, you want to have at least 2 or 3 of these, because it's either kind of like an all or nothing thing, but it's just for right now, 2 is actually really good. I think that was good, a better ratio to have instead of 3, so it just worked out pretty good at 2. Playset of Dimensional Fisher, as always, is kind of a white Mexican theory special. Stops Droll and Lockbird, it stops Effect Veiler, it stops Crow. Crow's really popular. No one was really crowing Kashtira this format, but they run it because of fire. So instant turns off Crow, Veiler, Droll, Ogre for those 2 kids in the rooms that are playing it. Good card, but it's kind of weird in this format. Super great, obviously. Anti-fire, anti-graveyard. It's just super good. It's really, really good. People say, I mean, it's just super good. I don't want to, have this video be like a million. I always make these videos super long because I just have all these things in my head, and I want to kind of get so much out there to, like, educate you guys and kind of explain all these reasons. But these deck profiles tend to just be like, if you guys know, like, my deck profiles are just always like longer. Like, you're gonna get the size, like, you're gonna get the sauce, you're gonna get the spice, you're gonna get the explanation, everything. I tend to repeat myself, but I don't know who's watching this for the first time or who's not watching this for the first time, so kind of get the full length details. 3 planet and 3 birth. It is a 40 main. I believe, again, yeah, it's 18 magic cards and 20 monsters, 2 traps. For the extra deck is relatively familiar if you guys are familiar with my videos. 1 Baron, 1 SP. I did switch out the Donner for a Phoenix. The Phoenix has a potential spot removal. I know Donner does too, but certain floodgates are a little bit more threatening to me than monster destruction removal. Also, Phoenix is a higher attack than Donner. He's at 19, so with Planet he can be pretty bigger. He's bigger. It is a fire, so it's kind of scary again. Fire can utilize fire stuff, even in the grave or whatever. But again, I was just looking for, ideally, these little to never come out. They're mostly prosperity fodder of this too, for the most part. If a Kashtira player goes into Baron, unless they're doing, like, again, like the Psychic Turbo variant, level 10 Synchro variant, they're kind of in trouble. So that's kind of just a keynote. But these are ideally just to sweep things off board, just in case I get a token, or in case some crazy stuff happens. This is pretty much just as a fallback. 1 Sky Crisis, 1 Zeus, 1 Draco Sack, 2 Big Eye, Painfully, 2 Red Eyes, Flare Metal Dragon. I absolutely love this card. This card is so amazing. There's so many awesome applications to this card. It's just a gorgeous card in general. I love these ghosts. Really wish I could run 3, but again, I was really trying to stretch the extra deck's utility and really get some range to the flexibility in the extra deck. So I did cut it to 2. Just the same with Dark Arm Dragon. I cut that to 2 as well. For a while it was at 3, and then I was using it at 1. Now it's back at 2. I think 2 is kind of the healthy mid-range. I don't think 1 is enough, and I think 3 is too much. And I really like this card a lot. Again, like, I really go back and forth on running playsets of these. They're super good, but Again, I wanted to diversify my extra decks, so I think 2 is a happy medium. And then, of course, you know, you guys know me, triple Shangira. I think it's insane so many people are playing 1. People think this card is such garbage right now. I don't agree with that. I think that, you know, everyone has their own opinions and play styles. My play style is I absolutely love this card, and it is a key resource, and I think it's a mandatory 3 of. Same theory as I usually say. If you have a Shang on board, or if you have a Unicorn on board, or if you have a Fenrir on board, all these cards are going to net you crazy surplus and resource toolkits. So it forces your opponent, it puts pressure on your opponent to sweep these 3 off the field as quick as possible. Usually the Shangira special on your opponent's turn during the standby is, you know, cannon fodder for Imprint or Ash, but again, you want to get those hand trams out, you want to get those resources gone, and you want to force your opponent to use those quickly, and probably not at the ideal points, because if they don't, they're going to lose, because turn after turn, these are just going to net you surplus resources. So that's my ideal behind that. Obviously, 3 planet, this can synergize with skill drain. I'm not currently running skill drain in the side deck or main, so if other people are playing skill drain, you know, which isn't many, but if they are, I can surplus, because I can still do spot removal under skill drain with Shangira and the field magic planet. But really good stuff, really good stuff. I'm an avid believer in Shang personally. So that is the deck. 15 card side deck is going to be 2 Macro Cosmos. Now, I was siding 3 for the longest time. I thought 3 Fisher and 3 Cosmos after the side swap is just too much. I was breaking on it, and it was just really terrible. When I know that I'm going first, unless it's like a crazy matchup that I absolutely need like an abundance of removal, I think that for the majority of times, if I know that I'm going first, and again, this is kind of just my personal white Mexican theory, some people may or may not agree with this, I side out Fisher. If I know, if I lose game 1 or if I lose game 2, or, you know, I know that I'm going to have the ability to go first, I take Shifter out for the most part. Obviously, it depends on what matchup, but for the most part, the Shifters come out and the Cosmos come in. The reason why that is because you have to open with Shifter. Everyone knows Shifter's, you know, a deadly card. It's super great, you know. I have, you know, a lot of people have mixed feelings about it because it's just one of the strongest hand traps in the game right now, if not the strongest. It can't really, there's not a lot of things that can stop it right now, but you have to open with this card. And my personal argument with that is if you don't open up with this card, it's 3 bricks in the main. And it's just, it's total dog shit. You have to open up with this card. This is an absolute luck sack card. It's a ratio card. It's a 3 or 0 card. And for that reason specifically, it's too good not to run, at least in game 1, but for game 2 and 3, for the most part, these are pretty much going bye-bye, and I'm going to be whipping out my Macro Cosmos. Obviously, Macro Cosmos is more vulnerable to spot removal than this card, but I think that's worth it, because if you don't open again with this card, it's completely dead, and you don't want to be drawing into dead cards or starting with dead cards. Well, if you don't, you know, you start it, you proc it off. If you don't have it, you know, you can't use it. So that's kind of my theory on that. With Fisher, Dimensional Fisher being at 3, always, and until, you know, fire gets hit or the decks rotate out, I'm not taking this out. Again, this is such a white Mexican special theory. This is great. This is always good. I've never complained about 3 Fisher in the main. With 2 Cosmos, and then again, of course, you have potentially the draw power from the 7 stars, or maybe a pot greed from the talents, and then the 2 prosperities. More than likely, your odds are pretty good of getting removal between the 2 Cosmos and the 3 Fisher, even without, you know, the Shifter, because this is, again, this is a game 1 exclusively card, for my personal opinion, for most things. Okay, so the 2 Macro Cosmos, 3 Anti-Spell. Really undervalued this card, this format. This is super good. For the longest time, I was doing, you know, other trap cards to defend against back row hate, you know, Cosmic, obviously, like, you know, this folds to Cosmic, but Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster primarily. Of course, there's evenly matched. Now, this is very high risk, high reward when it comes to evenly matched, because I don't have any protection against evenly matched. So, luckily, I didn't get evenly matched. I got very fortunate. I don't even know if my opponents today after changing the deck, decided out or even tried to use evenly matched, but luckily the whole 6 rounds that I played, I didn't get evenly matched, which was really nice. But for that Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, it did get Cosmic one time. The one time I did try to use it, it did unfortunately get Cosmic away, but it was against one of the voiceless players, and I actually was able to take that match regardless, so that was a W for me, which was really cool. So ideally, this is for, it's super good. Like, it's super good. Like, I'm not going to go too much into detail. You guys know how crazy this card is going first in this format. 2 Cosmics. I really do like 3, but right now I wanted to make room for the Floodgates. Again, the 2 and 3, so had to cut Cosmic down to 2, but still super good to have access to it in the side. 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, just to, again, have that spot removal. Labyrinth isn't really very prevalent anymore, at least today, specifically on the local level. I didn't play any Labyrinth at the OTS yesterday, at the regional. I played 1 Labyrinth today. So, but always good to have that spot removal utility box in the side deck. Back on 3 Evenly Match, I let my buddies talk me out of Evenly Match for the regional, and I did relatively well in my personal opinion. 16th place out of 100 plus players is pretty solid. I mean, I'm satisfied with that personally. For the regional level, and they kind of explained their theory. They both agree that this is like just a dog shit card. This format, it's really not that good. It's not good against fire. It's not good against this. Not good against that. And it was kind of like peer pressure, and it worked out. Obviously, I performed relatively well, and without it. But today, I put it back in for the locals tournament, and it came in very, very premium. It's very, very good. I need to continue to trust myself, and it's situational. Sometimes it's more premium than others, but I really do believe that this is, just the same as Lava Golem, the king of kings when it comes to going second. These are board breakers. They sweep fields, and they're just super, super good, especially the Lava Golem, even more so the Lava Golem. Lava Golem is just so, so insane. There's little to nothing that stops this card going second, so really, really great. So that is the side deck, and that is the updated deck profile for March. And again, so today the local level, there was 5 rounds, so really quick, I'll just go through the rounds for you guys. So 5 rounds, it was 26 players total, 5 rounds. My round 1 was against Snake Eyes. That was 2 games. I won outright. I, open shifter game 1, and I also won dice roll. But 2 games, round 1, flat out. Round 2 is against the single Labyrinth player. That was 2 games. I lost the dice roll, but I did open shifter game 1. I was able to take both games, 1 match 2. Round 3 was against Voiceless Voice. That was 3 games, and I won game 3, took the match. Round 4 was against Snake Eyes Fire King. That was my first loss of the event. That was only 2 games. I colossally bricked game 1, lost game 1, misplayed in game 2. I played out of order. I could have summoned a Baron first and then dropped my plan to do the search, and he had Ash, but I tried to search before summoning the Baron. Just wasn't thinking straight, ended up ashing my only recursion piece, utility piece, so that was my misplay, so it cost me the match in round 4, so I lost round 4. Round 5 was against a U-Bell deck, and that was 3 games. I have no idea what U-Bell did. I had kind of a rough idea, they had some cheeky plays, and it was a bunch of, burn damage and all that, but I lost, I think I lost game 1. Yeah, I lost game 1, or maybe I think I won game 1. I can't remember, but it was 3 games, and in the 3rd game, third game, basically, I broke his board because it's all about Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain is the one that pretty much destroys you. Got rid of the Phantom Pain. He just got into another one. And anyway, at the very end of game 3, it was super cheeky. Ended up hitting me for 6,000 because it was he had, I think it was like the golem, some of the golem, and it's like even if you do anything, you just put your board to do the damage or whatever, and then at the very end, he went to the rank 10, and he burned me for the last two. So the very end, just like one turn, 8k, you know, as soon as you just give him like one opening, it's like Makanko. The deck really, that's why I don't like Yugioh. It looks cool, like the artwork's really great, and I kind of like, you know, the history behind it, nostalgia and all that is really cool, but in my personal opinion, like it plays very similarly, or like the whole kind of mechanics behind it, or like the whole purpose of the deck is very similar to Makanko, and I just think Makanko is extremely annoying, and I just really utterly do not enjoy Makanko, so that's kind of why I'm really turned off by the deck. But lost round 5. Going into top cut, I was, you know, X2 out of 5 rounds. Was fortunate enough to make top 8 with that score. And then in top 8, I played a voiceless voice variant. It was 3 games. Still learning. I definitely need to study more for voiceless voice because there's definitely misplays that I made. I didn't hand trap appropriately, and, you know, maybe didn't do certain spot removals correctly. It was 3 games, but I pretty much lost pretty outright in game 3. Very drawn out, you know, very much a gentleman's match, but lost in top 8, first section of top 8. So unfortunately, was able to get, you know, top 8, which was cool. Top is a top, you know, take your wins when you can. So $5 credit, so essentially, you know, free tournament entry, and then OTS for entry as well. One thing to take note of, you know, be proud of yourself, and, you know, be like really appreciative for your wins. I know a couple of my buddies that went with me. I think I had a buddy that got 12th, a buddy that got 13th, I got 16th, and I got another buddy who was from, you know, the Syracuse area who got 19th, and he was really, really upset about getting 19th. Getting 19th out of 100 plus regional OTS, I think, is amazing. I was, you know, completely blown away that I was even able to get 16th place. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really cool that, you know, 2 of our other buddies got 12th and 13th. That's really, really good. Definitely take a lot of joy and, you know, humble pride in that, and really, it's a lot of work. So, you know, appreciate those wins. You know, some people really just aren't, you know, grateful for those things. They're just like, oh, like, you know, to make top 20 is like nothing. It's really not. That's no small feat. You know, take your wins and, you know, be happy with your wins. And I think, you know, anyway, I don't even know really what I'm trying to say, but, you know, just, you know, be happy with your wins. That it's like, I don't have the words. Anyway, so okay, so we're gonna go through and we're gonna open these for you guys just to seal the deal on this video, because I've been talking way too long, and I try to make these shorter videos, but it doesn't really work out. We got this Chimera Super, pretty cool. It's the first time I've gotten this Super. Alright, now these are going to be the packs, of course, from the OTS, the 5 entry Phantom. We got a Barrier for the Voiceless. This is what I ashed today, which apparently was incorrect. You're not supposed to ash this as the first hand trap from them. So still learning. Definitely need to study the deck because there's a lot of crazy interactions that it has. Oh, well, it's crazy. I didn't notice this was Super. I thought I just got a pack full of commons. I've never seen this Super before. That was really strange because at first I thought it was like really hidden. I thought it was all commons. Anyway, a Sunset Beat. I gotta read that card. I don't even know what that does. That's kind of interesting. This is super awesome. Save these. This is like a really, really underrated common, in my personal opinion. Really, really love Sorcerer Sebek. Never seen this before either. It's an Aroma Super, pretty cool. I don't really know. This is really cool too. One of my other favorites from the set for the commons. Raid Raptor. So unfortunately all supers, but, you know, overall really great, very happy that I was able to go with my 2 buddies and, you know, get top 16th or get 16th or whatever. Good experience. That is all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a showcasing by Autumn's Allure. My name is the White Mexican, and I will see you in the next video.